Hi, welcome back. Let's continue with using our example now. As you know, to use a package, we can either run that with using the run button here, or we can run it within a begin end block, or if you want to use a procedure, you can use the execute command. Since we will use the increase low salaries procedure, let's do it with using the execute command now. First, let's update our employees copy table with using the employees table to refresh the data in it. Let's first truncate it. Truncate table employees copy. And now let's insert the rows from the employees table. Insert into employees copy. Select all the columns from employees. And let's run it. And commit. All right. First, let's see the employees whose salary is lower than 5,000 because as you remember, our minimum salary standard is 5,000. So let's write select all the columns from employees copy where salary is lower than 5,000. Let's run it. As you can see, we have 49 salaries less than 5,000. So our procedure must increase all these salaries. To compare after the execution, let's pin this result now. So now let's use our procedure. Execute mpkg dot increase low salaries. Now let's run it. As you can see, PLSQL procedure successfully completed. So let's run the select query again and see if they are updated. Great, no rows. That means every salary is equal or greater than 5,000. To see what happened to these salaries, now let's select from the table without the varchar. Select all the columns from employees copy. And run this. Now let's open up the output that we have pinned before. Now here, the salary of David is 4,800. Now let's check it from the new result then. As you can see, it increased with 500. But our increase rate is set to 1,000 in the package spec. Let me show you. Yes, but let me remember you something. Even if we set this variable to 1,000 in the spec, we set it again to 500 here. So this value is overridden. And this is called as package initialization. You must remember that from the previous lectures. So do not confuse about that. Great. Now let me show you another example. Now let's check Diana for example. Because it is 800 less than the standard. So it must be set to 5,000. Let's check it. As you can see, it is correct. Now here, since Nancy has a high salary, our program should not touch her salary. Let me check it there. It is not in here because these are the employees whose salaries are lower than 5,000. So let's select from the employees table and check Nancy from here. As you can see, it is the same. Great, that means our code works perfectly as we want. Before finishing this lecture, let's make our code a bit more beautiful. As we can see the whole picture better now, we can understand that all the three functions are used in our increase low salaries procedure. So there is no need them to be seen by the other packages, subprograms, etc. So we can make these private. To do that, it will be enough to delete these declarations from the spec. So let's do that. But getEmployees function may be useful for other users or packages, subprograms, etc. So let it stay as public. So let's compile it. As you can see in the left, our body got invalid. Now let's compile it again. But we have an error. It says a range for min salary not declared in the scope. But we know that we declared it. The reason is this function is declared below the increase low salaries procedure. As you remember from the forward declarations lecture, if a subprogram is not declared in this spec, the order of it is important in the body. The subprogram that a subprogram will use must be declared above the caller one. Or you can do a forward declaration. You learned how to do that in the previous lectures. But for now, there is no need for a forward declaration because no other subprograms use this one. So it will be enough to carry it above the increase low salaries procedure. Let's do it then. Let's cut it and paste in here. And compile. As you can see, no problem. Now there is one more thing. It will be better to write comments to the spec for the subprograms because most of the developers first check the spec and it will be more useful if you do like that. Let's do it then. Let's copy that and paste in here. And copy the increase low salaries command and paste in here. And compile it. As you can see, when we compile the spec, the body is automatically fall into invalid status. So let's compile it too. Great. Now our package is all valid. Perfect. It was a long lecture, but working with packages generally needs some effort. And most of the times, a subprogram calls to another and that one calls to another one too. They will generally be a bit complicated. So you need to be careful both creating and using the packages. But you need to know that packages are the objects that you do your real business in most of the times. And you will need to use the packages in most of your business in a real work. So you need to know and use packages well. Perfect. We did a little complicated and beautiful example about using the associative arrays in packages. If you did something wrong, rewind the video back and try to write just like how I did. Besides, using the other collection types are just like how we did in this lecture. The only difference is how you use these collections. And you learned these in the collections lectures with all the details. Alright, that's the end of this lecture. See you in the next lectures.